Sometimes this world has things that make you go, Not a out of surprise or of fear or concern, but just a curiosity kinda, Because this is one of those things that popped up on my timeline earlier this morning, and I wanted to make a video about it because it was so odd, kind of weird, and certainly an idea that will ruffle some feathers. Today we're going over to the Montreal Canadiens and talking about the idea of free agents that they can target in this year's offseason. Now, our source is TVA Sports. They published this on April 4th. The article is in French, but I translated it into English. The title, written by JIC, says this: The Habs must talk to all free agents available. And that headline is very simple. Hey, the Habs should talk to free agents, whoop-de-doo, like big mind-blowing stuff, right? Not really, but the body of the piece goes out there and talks about a very particular set of players that the Canadiens should probably look at. Take a look at how the article starts out. Even if he doesn't think that Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault would be good fits for the Canadiens, Tony Marinaro is categorical. The Canadian staff must absolutely find out about the availability of these players during the summer. I think the Habs have every interest in speaking with all the free agents to find out what they think of Montreal and see if they can sell their project, Marinaro suggested during the Colisée segment on JIC. At 34 years old, Steven Stamkos is currently playing in the final year of his contract with the Tampa Bay Lightning. It will be very complex for the Lightning to come to an agreement with their captain since the room for maneuver under the salary cap is almost non-existent. Same thing could be said for Jonathan Marchessault, who must renew his contract with the Vegas Golden Knights by July 1st, otherwise he will be free as air. That's a nice simile, isn't it? Free as air. Pure, fresh oxygen, nature's gift to life. Be as free as air. That's kind of funny. On the other hand, Tony Marinaro does not believe that these two players would be a good fit for the Canadiens, which finds itself in the middle of a youth transition. What's more, a player of Steven Stamkos' caliber could command a salary of around $10 million per season on a 4 or 5 year agreement. They will not leave millions of dollars on the table, believes Jean-Charles Lajoie. Marchessault is a guy who can reasonably expect to get between $35 and $40 million over 5 years. Now, what in the world does this article even mean? It talks about at the beginning how the Canadiens should talk to these guys, but it doesn't really give any ammunition as to why it would be a good idea. It just says, oh, they should do it. So I'm going to try to interpret this in my own words and speak about how it relates to these two guys on the Lightning and the Vegas Golden Knights. Essentially, the idea that is being proposed is that the Montreal Canadiens, with their about $9 million of cap space for next season, with only Arber Xhekaj needing a probably big contract. They have some other guys that will need contracts, but let's face it, the Canadiens are not re-signing Tanner Pearson. They may not sign Chris Weidman again. It's up in the air. But with about $9 million to sign Arber Xhekaj and $10 million of Carey Price LTIR money still available to them, Kent Hughes has the opportunity to shell some dollars to whichever player wants to come over to Montreal should they feel it is right. The reason this free agency thing is being brought up is because you're going to have a bunch of players on the market with differing timelines, different ages, different levels of experience, different championships, and for the Montreal Canadiens, it would be beneficial to them just to scope out the market, see what each of these guys would be asking for, and see how their services could be used with respect to the Montreal Canadiens. They have enough money to sign whomever it is they want. That's not the issue here. The issue is whether or not it would actually fit, which is why this article brings up the idea of two guys in one, Steven Stamkos, captain of the Tampa Bay Lightning, and in one, Jonathan Marchessault, who has been one of the top, honestly, no, scratch that. I'm going to say the best Quebec player in the NHL the past few years. Is that too hot of a take? I'm not too sure. I think it's pretty fair. Marchessault has probably been the best QC guy the league has had the past little while, and I don't know if it's really too close, to be honest. Now, jumping back and forth here, Steven Stamkos has been in a pretty odd spot with the Lightning this year because ever since the beginning of the season, we knew that his goal was to re-sign. He wanted to stay. He was expecting a contract extension in the summer of 2023. When he didn't get that, and he started out training camp all angry and frustrated being told and asked by the media, hey, you don't have a contract. What's going on with that? He made it very clear that he thought he would be signed by this point in time. And the Lightning responded. They said, no, look, we're going to have to wait until the end of the season. We're not going to be able to negotiate mid-year because we just don't know what our cap structure is going to look like once 2024, 2025 rolls around. Steven Stamkos, at 34 years old, making $8.5 million a year to the end of this season, has 71 points in 73 games played. He's 2 years removed from being a 100-point player, and he's on pace for about 77 points this year. Just roughly under a point per game, he is still very good. I mean, there's no doubting the talent and star power that Steven Stamkos possesses. There's a lot there. But if the Tampa Bay Lightning are not able to make it fit, they have to finagle some other names around in their salary cap, then maybe a guy like Steven Stamkos is the odd man out. And as Tony Marinaro says on the JIC show, is this really the guy the Canadiens would be benefiting from getting? He doesn't really think so. If I had to guess why, it would probably be because, hey, Steven Stamkos is old. He's 34 years old. How long is that guy going to be effective at the National Hockey League level? Sure, he's probably not going to get an 8-year, 7-year deal, but if he gets a 4 or 5-year deal, then what? Can you guarantee Steven Stamkos will be a, let's just say, $8 million caliber guy by the time he's 37, 38, 39? Already being in this spot, it's kind of, ticking a little bit. This is about the time when players start to decline, and for Steven Stamkos, he's still playing at around a point per game-ish pace, but the question is, how long is that going to last? For Tampa Bay, if you wanted to say they could re-sign him, yeah, okay, that's easy. He's been their captain for a while. He has been so good. He's a legend, arguably the best Lightning player ever. So re-signing him doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but if they feel that they could just let him go, then fine. Would Montreal be able to afford him that same pass, though? You could very well say no. When it comes to the other guy, though, Jonathan Marchessault in the Vegas Golden Knights system, he's a tad younger. He's 33. I mean, that's still not incredibly young, but he's still younger. Marchessault's making $5 million a year to the end of this season, and honestly, he's been kind of underpaid too. His $5 million AAV salary started back in 2018-19, and ever since then, the guy has started being just amazing. He was a 70-point guy in Vegas in their inaugural season, has never really matched that, unfortunately, but has had some pretty good roles with the team ever since. He was over a point per game when they won the Stanley Cup in 2023. He is around a 70-point pace mark right now with 66 points in 76 games. So Marchessault is one of these guys that can be effective. And if he wants to come home, if he wants to use some of his talent for his hometown Montreal Canadiens, then that'd be pretty good. Or should I say hometown Montreal Canadiens? No, he's from Quebec City, so hometown Avs? A little bit different there. I get it. But still, Marchessault kind of has the same problems. If he wanted to say that he's not going to be all too fantastic by the time he's 37, 38 years old, then there may be some caution you need to exert when signing him to a 5-6 year deal, especially if it's in the $8 million range, because let's face it, the guy was a point per game player in the playoffs when it mattered the most, and now he's scoring at a rough 70-point pace-ish. What kind of money does a forward like that get on the free agent market? Who really knows? Is it really worth it for the Canadiens to put a bunch of stock into players like these? They've been growing with younger talents like Suzuki, Caulfield, Slafkovsky, Doc, Newhook. These are all great players, but is there room for an older, aging veteran like a Stamkos or a Marchessault? You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, but at the end of the day, the main point of the TVA Sports article is to discuss how the Canadiens should, at the very least, check in with these guys and see if they could be fits. Let me know your thoughts as to whether or not they would be, in your opinion. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.